Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Can you guys hear me okay? If you can, just go ahead and type in the chat box, please. Can you guys all hear me okay? Yes? No? Not awake? What's up, Jonas? How you doing? From sunny Mesa, Arizona, says Christine. What's up, Christine? Good morning, Mark. How are you? We got Dave's in the house here from Toronto. Yep, you guys can hear me. Good morning, Scott. What's up, Julie? Let's see. Mark's back in Zurich. Mark, I just saw that Roger Federer did a fundraiser with Andy Murray last week, I think it was. And it was like live broadcast, all in German, of course. You know, I had to watch a bit of it. And I hope you guys are doing fantastic. And we got Michael from New York. Great. So you guys can hear me okay. So let's go ahead and shut that down, open up my slides. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. We will get going here. So first of all, I just want to welcome you. Today is Tuesday, April 18th, and the weather has officially turned here in Rochester. It is finally 65 to 70 here. Probably staying with Dave. They're up in Toronto. And boy, I tell you what, as soon as that sun comes out shining, people are out. They're taking the kids out to play. They're going to the parks. They're out there playing tennis, golf, you name it. It's like, you know, we've been in hibernation for so many months here that everybody just loves it. So you guys know the whole approach here. I'm going to skip this part. More and more, we've been going to the live chat that you guys are typing in, as well as bouncing back and forth from the pre-submitted questions. And I always like to start with the quote of the month here. So the quote of the month here is from Dan Kennedy, who says, "All wealth is based on systems." And that's a pretty interesting quote, pretty big quote, right? But all wealth is based on systems. There's a lot of wisdom in that. Michael Gerber put it another way. He said, quote, "Let systems run the business and have people run the systems." So let systems run the business and people run the systems. And as Michael points out, people come and go, staff come and go, VAs come and go, but systems, they remain constant, okay? So for the e-commerce business owners like us, systems will set you free. And one big thing that I just really want to point out time and time again here is when you guys look at my system SOPs, you get very like intimidated sometimes because they're so detailed. You guys like the way they're laid out and stuff like that. And yeah, so for some of the more complex processes, they're a pain to lay out in such detail, but really they don't take that much time. I mean, we're talking maybe a couple hours to document a rather complex task. And I mean, think about the payoff of that though. So you spend 90 minutes, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours at a Starbucks. You put in your earbuds, you listen to some good music, you get yourself a good drink, and you document a system once such that you never have to do it again. Something that might be taking you 2-3 hours a week. And you just have to put in the hard labor once to make that system and just do screenshots and just make it easy for people. And you never again have to touch that. That to me is massive 80-20 leverage. And if you kind of look at all your systems that way, in reality, 80% of the systems are very, very simple systems. If you're like running a chiropractic office, your receptionist might only have like 30 quote unquote systems or 30 checklists that they have to do in their job. That's it. And most of them, 80% of those are like very simple, like how to answer the phone, how to close the office at night, how to do this, how to do that. And only about 20% are more complex. Now, granted, it does depend on the position, right? If you're a medical doctor and you had to do an SOP of how to do heart surgery, well, obviously, in that situation, it doesn't make any sense to document in detail how to do a heart surgery because you require, 10 plus years of skill and knowledge and so on and so forth. So in ultra complex systems, what you want to do is you want to more broad stroke it. You want to just go through the general major steps and you rely on that person's unique expertise and training. I'm talking like, for example, let's say you have somebody very technical on there. For them to document how to build a ClickFunnels thing from scratch, it's just kind of wasted time. So you just broad stroke it, right? But for all the other tasks, and again, I'm talking 80% of the tasks in pretty much every business, they can be documented in 1 page or less. And everyone gets fixated on, oh my gosh, I have to have this incredibly detailed system for every single chunk of my business. Not really. I mean, what's a system? A system can just be 1 sheet of paper of do's and don'ts, right? So let me just encourage you though, that on your to-do list, and trust me, I realize that you have a large list of things that you have to do, that you're expected, to do to really crush it on Amazon and in e-commerce. But kind of like the next layer of the onion, it's like that Inception movie, right? As you're running the business, you almost have to, strategically be working on the business. And part of that is identifying those tasks that you don't need to be doing. My rule of thumb is, if I can't change the outcome, that I shouldn't be doing it. So like, there's nobody else I can delegate doing these Q&A calls to, because I can change the outcome. I have this unique ability in my businesses. And so, this is something that I'll continue doing. But for me to copy and paste a canned reply for a question that we've gotten 1,000 times previously in Groove HQ, like in other words, to answer an Amazon customer, that, whether I do it or I outsource it, it's not going to change the outcome. It's still going to be the same outcome. So if it's taking me a lot of time and I can't change the outcome, those are the first things that I delegate, that I build systems for. And again, yes, sometimes it's kind of like you feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill with your nose, to sit down and get out of your head and on paper the exact rules for a position. But believe me, it is so worth it. And not to do it is going to hold back the amount of income you can make on Amazon. Because if you're doing the low dollar per hour, let's say customer service things, or the low dollar per hour following up with the Chinese suppliers to make sure they're going to deliver on time, and still scheduling the China inspection services yourself, and still going through the PDFs that are provided of those China inspection services. And then when those China inspection services don't report a good result, if you're still just copy and pasting the same basic replies and blah, 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 that's going to block you from doing the scaling activities in your business, like finding more product opportunities, setting up, mastering, understanding the sponsored ads campaign, right? Before you can eventually hand that off to other people, like I just taught, things like that. All right. So all wealth is based on systems. I want you to keep that in mind this week, this month. And I think it'll really get you thinking along the lines of a real long-term viable, much more sustainable business that can operate and thrive without you having to do every little thing in that business. So what do you guys say we get to some live chat questions? If you guys have some live chat questions, go ahead and post them here. Mark says that Mark in Zurich said he did watch that or knew about it, and that Roger Federer and Andy Murray also played on the river. Sweet. How you doing, Jane from sunny London? So Sasha says, is anybody really complaining? Your SOPs are the best. I'd be writing my own were it not for you. Love these. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the SOPs that I'm creating are for more complex tasks and duties, right? But most of them aren't that complex, right? Most of them are one-off. They're like 1 sheet of paper and require not as much explanation as would be required, for example, to be able to take over sponsored ads, right? Okay, so Michael, what's up, Michael Keeley? He says, concerning keyword research, I'm having a challenge selecting and prioritizing the hundreds of keywords your research method produces. Okay, I'm worried that Michael is confusing keyword research with keyword expansion, right? So which is it, Michael? Are you referring to doing what I taught last month in March? Now, you should not be generating hundreds of keywords. You want a typeset of keywords like I taught last month. And did you watch last month's webinar, because if you didn't, if you're just kind of watching the sponsored ads, then you will be confused. So just let me know that first here. Michael, you can go ahead and type in the answers. I'm actually looking at live chat right now. So okay, so he says, yes, I did watch it. It is the keyword phrases. Okay, so now what part are you confused about then? I mean, let me just see. Michael, do you have access to audio? Like if we try to do an audio thing, are you able to interact with me here? I just want to make sure here before I. Yes. Okay. Let me try to find you real quick, guys. Just sit tight for a quick second here. Let me find Michael. Michael should be in alphabetical order. Okay. Here we go, Michael. I'm going to unmute you. Hey, Michael, are you there?
I am.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm blessed. Thank you.
Great, great. Where are you calling from, by the way?
Love your webinars.
Oh, thanks so much, Michael. Appreciate that. Where are you calling from?
Delmar, New York, near Albany.
Oh, all right. You suffer the same seasons that I do. Good. Good, good, good. Well, weather's finally turning for us, so that's good, right, Michael?
We've had some beautiful spring days.
We have. All right. So, so what's the problem here with the keyword research? Where are you getting confused, or how can I help you here?
When I use the various steps that you've given us last month.
Yep.
I produce a lot of keywords, keyword phrases, and I'm having trouble prioritizing them, figuring out which ones are really the most effective to be up toward the top of the list.
Gotcha. So
there are just hundreds, and I have tried using Helium-10 also to winnow them down, and it's just I know it's an art choosing what should go toward the top of the list. It's an art that I haven't mastered yet.
Okay. So maybe we're swimming in like too much data and too many tools. So here's what I would do, Michael, if I were you. I would just literally, whenever you're faced with that situation and you're not quite sure what's a major keyword, what should be a minor, and so on and so forth, or there just seems to be too much data that you're generating, I would just go right back to looking at what the top 10, top 15 competitors are doing. Because it'll be patently obvious what keywords they deem important, because they're going to put them right in their headlines, the titles, and right into bullet points. So I would use that as your guiding light for what your major keywords are going to be. And you'll see that there aren't an unlimited number of keywords that your competitors keep, beating the drum over, right? They're going to be, they're limited because they have to be, just like we have to be, because Amazon doesn't allow unlimited characters and titles and bullet points. So I would use that as your guiding light. I would say, okay, you know what? I may not know exactly what keywords are best here, because maybe this is a brand new product category for me. However, what I would definitely do is I would kind of go back after you go through the steps, and let's say that you're not quite sure what's a major and what's a minor keyword. I go right back and take a second pass at all of the page one competitors. And I would say, oh, okay, knowing what I know now, I keep seeing these keywords showing up all over the place. This appears to be a major keyword. And you might just want to do it on paper, just kind of write out, maybe even stick count, and say, oh, you know what, page one, boy, I keep seeing these 5 keywords appear over and over and over again in a lot of the different listings. And that will, in most cases, that will be your most important keywords, because we're assuming here that a lot of the competition, if they're on page one, they've been selling for a while, and so they have gone through this process. They have probably done sponsored ads. They probably have a lot of good, not only anecdotal evidence, which is all we have in the beginning, but they actually have practical evidence of what keywords they can best monetize from. All right.
That's quite helpful, actually. We do that right from the beginning of the process. And I think what happened with us is that we got so much data later on. It would be very helpful to go back to look at those. That's helpful.
All right. Awesome, Michael.
Thanks.
Well, hey, you enjoy the good weather there in Albany. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.
You too.
Yeah, that's, when in doubt, look at what the people that are already doing super well are doing. And that includes also for even copywriting ideas and image ideas, not to rip them off, obviously, but it's, well, Tony Robbins calls it modeling. And his premise is that, hey, if you're going to just kind of try to figure it out by trial and error, that takes way too much time, effort, and cost. Why not just find the best in the world, or the top 2 or 3 in the world, find out exactly specifically what they're doing. If they won't reveal it, then kind of study their every move. And you'll see the writing on the wall. You'll see kind of consistent trail to their success. And so what's great about Amazon is it's the world's largest marketplace, and you can quickly identify exactly what those listings that are crushing it are doing best. Look at their images, look at their titles, look at their bullets. And there is a little bit of experience required, because, for example, you're not going to scrutinize and study a listing on page 1 that's shipped and sold by Amazon, right? Because we know that their hands are tied. That's like a vendor central listing. Their title, their bullets have been shortened or truncated. All the good selling power has been wrung out of it by the Amazon corporate approach. But you still look at it, but you just don't put as much weight in what keywords they're necessarily using. But when you see a listing that is FBA, that has a lot of reviews, a lot of positive reviews, you see them showing up all over the place, ding, 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 ding. That's where you really kind of put the spotlight on it. You really start to scrutinize, hey, what are they doing with images? What are they doing differently than the unwashed masses aren't doing? What are they doing in respect to keywords? Things like that. All right. Good question. All right. Let's keep going here. Okay. So Sasha says, how much, if any, love am I showing to eBay? Meaning, am I on that channel? Am I promoting? No, I've chosen not to go on eBay, but not because I don't think it's a tremendous opportunity for my particular brands. It's not a fit. And without revealing the brands, I can't really get into it, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I will say this, if I was in any other niche, just about any other niche I can think of, I would be on eBay. Okay. Walmart, yes. Walmart, it makes sense. But for the eBay marketplace, it just didn't make sense. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been told I'm wrong on that I should test it anyway, but I just have chosen not to. That being said, though, I strongly encourage like 99% of my fast trackers to do as I say, not as Ben does in this instance with eBay, because eBay is such a wide open opportunity. eBay gets so much traffic that it's really hard to argue, why you shouldn't be on eBay. So I would recommend for like the vast majority of you to be on eBay. It's the same issue that I have with, everyone says, Ben, are you crazy? Why aren't you expanding to the European Amazon market? And it's because for the specific category that I'm in, I'm faced with more stringent, different regulations in the EU, and it would require me to completely redo packaging, and it would just be, frankly, put me at legal risk because I'd have to hire attorneys and blah, 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 blah. Now, look, are there people that just go over there and could care less about that because they're not doing big numbers? Yes. And are they wrong? No, they're not entirely wrong. If you're not doing $1 million a month in sales, and who cares if you get kicked off the EU platforms because you didn't understand a rule. But you know, when you have a successful business already, you have to be more aware of these things because you expose yourself to rules and regulations, and it can, you know, it can, you know, be very problematic. So, all right. So Tracy says, I mentioned tools, just starting out, what's the bare minimum tools I should subscribe to? Well, it depends. I mean, what are you trying to accomplish, right? I'm a big believer in tools. That's like asking the carpenter, hey, I don't want to spend money on the carpentry tools. So just tell me, like, what are the tools that I should buy if I want to build a house? I would say, well, you need the tools that are needed. I don't know how to hammer without a hammer. I don't know how to drill without owning a drill. I guess you could do it, you know, Amish style, do it literally every single activity, manual labor, or just exclude it. But that's the wrong question. The question is, what tools are going to generate an ROI and make you more successful in this business? I've always had a pet peeve of mine, and in any business, by the way, it's not just directed towards people in e-commerce. I had the same gripe from the chiropractic community, right? I'd have a doctor doing literally, no exaggeration, 3 million a year. And I would say, listen, you need to be running Facebook ads. He'd be griping and complaining about $10 a day ad spend. Wrong mentality. It's not a cost. It's what is your return? If you're going to invest in a stock market, right? Do you say, well, that's a penny stock, so I'm going to invest that in that stock because it's cheaper, but I'm not going to invest in Berkshire Hathaway because that's expensive? No, that's absurd. You would say, no, we're not going to base it on which stock is the cheapest. You're going to base your answer on what will generate the highest return on my investment. An expensive tool is cheap if it's generating a huge ROI. A cheap tool is expensive if it doesn't make you any money. So, Tracy, I don't mean to pick on you, but wrong question. The question is, A, what are you trying to accomplish, right? So if you're not doing sponsored ads, then you would not use you would not need a tool like, you know, PPC Entourage. If you want to be really successful with sponsored ads, I guess you could do it manually, all that stuff that I showed you, but I literally don't know how. I mean, you'd have to build custom spreadsheets. But then again, I look at things differently than some of you guys. I look at PPC Entourage like I'm investing in a really good stock in the stock market. I know I'm going to generate a positive ROI. So like, I don't worry about that at all, right? Like one very frustrating expense that I have is AMZ Tracker, because their website's down. All it does is it tracks our rank for our keywords. I can't find anything better. Yes, I know there's cheaper options out there. They all stink, or they're, you know, visually just kind of a mess. I'm spending $100 a month just to maintain that service, and that one drives me crazy. But I mean, short of that one, I'm very happy with every other tool that I use for my business. I've always been a big user of tools. Tools to me equal leverage. If it can save me time, speed, money, you know, it's just like a success accelerator, right? I mean, I also probably spend more on self-education than most all of you. But Ben, why are you doing that? Aren't you already like an e-commerce expert? Hey, the moment you think you know it all, you know, the moment that you think school is over, you're dead, you're going to be broke, that business is going to fail. That means you've lost your passion and your drive, in my opinion. The most successful people that I know are the people that need this stuff the least. They're the biggest buyers of these courses. They're the biggest users of tools because they want every single competitive edge. They're motivated, they're hungry. So, you know, again, you know, when you buy a course, is that an expense? Well, you know, ask an accountant and they would say, technically, yes. If I just glean one idea from a book, one golden nugget from a course, I consider that a very positive ROI. And, you know, multiplied out over what I've been able to generate in my businesses over my lifetime, you can bet your butt it's a massive ROI compared to what I've spent on seminars and masterminds and courses. So it's probably just more of a mindset thing, I think. All right, enough on the tirade. Okay, so I'm gonna by the way, I'm gonna bring up my my pen here because sometimes I like to draw some of this stuff out. So let's do this, and we're gonna do Q&A. And look out, my rather ugly artist skills are about to come out. All right, so Christine has a question. She says, Ben, I have hundreds of sponsored ad campaigns going, which has made optimizing my ads, even with using PPC Entourage, very time consuming. Yep, I completely understand because I had the same setup. I've been wanting to consolidate them and loved what you showed on the last Fast Track training, but I've heard that you'll lose ad history if you shut down a campaign and start a new one. Do you have any insight on this? What would you do? Okay, so I was in this exact same situation, right? Because my current setup was basically we would have like a campaign just for broad, campaign just for like exact, and a campaign just for phrase. And the reason why that was set up that way, right? That's a lot of campaigns, right? And that's for keywords, products, I mean, pages and pages and pages of campaigns that we had in our account. So here is what I did. I mean, I could just tell you from my experience. You're right. Well, I don't know that we're right. Like all of us, those of us that are in e-commerce that have a lot of campaigns, we're all paranoid that we're gonna, by shutting down a campaign that's generating some juice. The theory is that we're going to lose impressions, ad rank. I'll call it ad rank. I just mean like on that side rail, like, are you in position 1 or are you starting all over again? So we're all kind of worried, but we don't really know. Like nobody knows that I talk to. And I do a lot of testing in my own accounts. I have multiple Seller Central accounts. I haven't seen a specific trend. I just know this. When you're starting a brand new campaign, it's not a bad thing, by the way. So don't be afraid to pause everything and just start fresh, right? I mean, well, here, let me just finish this thought right here. If you're starting a brand new campaign, there's no doubt that it looks like this. Okay? That initially in the early days, okay, this is time. This is clicks. In the early days, when you first launch a campaign, usually for the first 2 weeks, right? You're going to get low impressions, low clicks. It's like the campaign is just finding its way. By the way, same exact thing happens in Facebook. I know a lot of you watch my Facebook Live broadcasts. If not, you should, because I share some interesting stuff there as well. And, we're now generating over 1,000 leads a day. 1,000 leads a day. But initially, our cost per lead, in other words, in that case, we have this opt-in process and we're selling, physical products, was over $5 a lead. Oh my God, right? But I didn't panic because I know that, because I understand this curve right here. Like I understand how this curve works. And so lead cost was at the worst, clicks were at the lowest, but over time, clicks have gone up and my costs have gone down. And now, yes, we tweaked, we made some improvements. We work in a 2-week iteration cycle, meaning strive for perfection. We release a funnel and we buy data and we see what happens. And then we pause the ads after, well, in this case, 7 days. We looked at the data, each step of the funnel. We said, whoa, we're not doing well here. Whoops, we're not doing well there. So for the next 2 weeks only, let's obsessively make some changes, some tweaks, and let's fix this part of the funnel. And we turn the traffic back on. Well, over time, we're now able to get our lead cost. We're under 80 cents a lead now. From $5 to 80 cents. That's over 500% decrease. Again, we're well over 1,000 leads a day now. Okay. That's because I understand this curve. Now, to a far lesser extent, you're going to experience this when you launch a new sponsored ads campaign, right? It'll seem like it's almost like a train, like an old steam train starting up. How's that for a sound effect? But it's kind of like that, right? And then over time, things start to kick off, right? So here's what I'd suggest. You have a couple different options. Okay, so I'll tell you what I did. Okay, VA or employees. Okay, with FreeUp, a lot of you guys, I can't tell you how many good comments you guys have sent to our help desk about FreeUp, because you guys are finally, I'm so pleased to see you're getting help. You actually have somebody part-time that's doing the stuff that you shouldn't be doing, like customer support, things like this. But literally, whether this is an employee or a partner or VA, whatever, you're going to have them do the grunt labor, the heavy lifting, right? So you can maintain the existing campaigns as is. Now, let me just tell you, the only time I would do that is if you're generating significant results from sponsored ads currently. Okay. Now, if you're like meh or not so, not such good results, just kind of there, nothing spectacular. If it were me, it'd be like ripping off a Band-Aid. Okay. You're gonna pause and archive all those campaigns because they're a mess, and you're gonna rebuild everything the proper way. Now, just understand you're gonna experience kind of this curve. It's gonna look like that. And it's not just gonna take 2 weeks. 2 weeks is when you start the optimization. Realistically, to rebuild the right way will probably take you 90 days. But the reason why I can argue for this case is because, again, if you've not ever gotten great results anyway from sponsored ads, what's the risk? The risk is mitigated because it's not like you're killing it. So you can swim in all the complexity, all the convoluted campaign setup, which is, I agree with you, it's impossible to optimize. Or you can say, you know what, let's just start from scratch. Let's kind of sweep the deck and let's build this for success. So I will tell you, I did a blend because I had a team. I had them go in and painstakingly, it probably took them 8 hours to go through and clean up these messes in my existing campaigns. We paused a lot of campaigns that weren't doing well, et cetera, et cetera. But then we also went to this more long-term kind of structure. So what we're left with is kind of a hybrid. Now, I know this is kind of hard for me to say, do this, then do that exactly. But basically, we did massive pruning for the existing. I mean massive. Anything that just was like, we just paused and archived, paused and archived, paused and archived. So we're left with maybe, I want to say 2 pages. And by pages, I mean, like in the campaign manager view in Seller Central, it says like page 1 of 2. So there's about 2, maybe 3 pages, I can't remember, of still existing campaigns. But and then we've really done the rebuilding since then. So we still have some of these going that were just frankly too good to pause, but then we got rid of the rest, and then we've done it the right way since then. Okay. And by the way, I know the next question is, Ben, what if we are using a keyword already in one of these existing campaigns that's doing well? Are you going to also put that into the new campaign structure or a new campaign? The answer is yes. Okay. Again, you're going to hear different opinions on this, but I've seen nothing definitive. And the sponsored ads department at Amazon is so small. We had into this mastermind group that I run with Jason, we had one of the guys who used to work in the sponsored ads department. He says, last time we heard from him, which was not too long ago, 9 people total in the whole department. Hell, I employ more than 9 people. 9 people total in all sponsored ads. Okay. So that's why you see some weird stuff that happens. And I mean, this is like this is a very small team to deploy, these sponsored ads, platform out there. Okay. So Christine, does that answer your question? Mark says, how can you tell when it's worth pursuing the sponsored ads, tactical strategy, or if there's a problem with your product? I don't really know how to answer that. I mean, I don't want to like minimize and make light of your question, but I mean, the way I define it is if my ACOS sucks, right? So if you, here's what I like to say, don't bring the old world into the new world. And what I mean by that is, so let's say that you've tried stuff in the past, stuff that maybe I taught previously, or Chris had taught previously, or some hodgepodge approach, or automatic campaigns, whatever. Okay, it doesn't matter. What I just taught you, in my opinion, is the absolute best system in the world, frankly, for growing a lot of sales with sponsored ads. Okay, I mean, I don't know of anything better. Literally, I don't know of anything better. I don't know of a better way to do it. This is like the best in class for the foreseeable future. Now, maybe a year from now, I'll have to update that. I don't know, but right now, this is absolutely the best. So I would say if you haven't done it specifically with 1 hour of optimization, 1 hour of expansion a week, then you don't really know if it's, if it's poor ACOS. Because remember, like I even showed, when a keyword is bad, meaning a bad ACOS, well, what part is bad? Because there's good parts and there's bad parts. And so with PPC Entourage, you can find the search terms that maybe are causing all those losses, and you just do a negative exact for that, then you're only left with the good parts. So it is a gradual over time process. So here's what I recommend. If you have a product where ACOS, you've never done well with it, here's what I recommend. For you, it's easy. You have an easier thing than what I told Christine. You're just going to pause and archive everything for that product. Okay? Just pretend you've done nothing, and then you're just going to start from scratch using the SOP and that webinar that I just taught. Literally just go through that process as if you knew nothing about sponsored ads, right? You're going to set up the campaign. Now, you're going to start with the existing product stage. So this is what we call phase 2, right? Phase 2. You're in phase 2, phase 3. Revive or increase sales for existing. But you have a really kind of exciting, more focused path, because now you just do the keyword expansion. Don't edit those. You're just gonna put those into a broad campaign and an automatic campaign, that huge keyword set. Let that run for 2 weeks, and then you're gonna go through that optimization and expansion process. Okay. All right. And Mark, I'm still jealous that you're in Zurich, man. I mean, I'm dying to go to Zurich. I picture these quaint European cafes just kind of nestled in, cozy along the river. And I bet spring is just amazing in Zurich. Okay, so this is good. We're getting lots of sponsored ads questions. So I'm liking this. Jonas, what's up, Jonas? He says, Ben, when you say that you accept an ACOS of 25 to 30%. Well, yeah. So my ACOS currently is 30% max. 30% max. Okay. When I say that that's what I require on each, do I mean it on each single keyword or the whole campaign? If it's on the whole campaign, then I have some work to do. Okay. So let me more apply this to a PPC Entourage, okay? So when you're doing your, okay, so what he's talking about is the optimization stage. And, that's a big word. Optimization, that's like word of the week, but like, what does Ben mean? What I mean is this is where you're going to prune the losses, right? I mean, really that's what it comes down to. An expansion, or like another way to put it would be scaling. This is where you're going to ride your winners. By the way, these terms come right out of, stock investing. It's kind of very similar. You prune your losses and you ride your winners, okay? And this same principle applies to 80-20 products, right? So as you expand your ASINs, you're going to really want to stop reordering the losers, and you're going to want to, frankly, double down on the winners, expand the rank for those, really dial into sponsored ad campaign. Very similar how this rule applies to most facets of business, even hiring. As Dan Kennedy says, you can't teach a pig to sing, meaning either they're an A player or they're not. So, once you identify, have trained them, and have given them a chance, cut the losses, get rid of the C players, and elevate, give more opportunities to more pay to your rock stars. So prune losses, ride winners. So anyway, going back to this question, with regards to optimization, when we say, what is your ACoS profit threshold? And Ben says it's 30%, what's he talking about? This is for everything. So like, in other words, if you're doing like a keyword like analysis in PPC Entourage, it'll say, well, what's your profit target? And you put in 30%, then that'll be on a keyword level. And then when you go one more layer of the onion above that, and you're just looking at all of your campaigns, again, it'll do it at the campaign level. Okay. So that's 30% across the board, meaning keywords, campaigns, and search terms. Okay. All it is just a simple, very focused measurement of where you are, succeeding, because a 30% on a search term really is the same as a 30% on a keyword, is really the same as a 30% at the campaign level. I mean, because that's our target, right? We want 30%. So I think that's where the confusion came in, because you saw as we were doing the optimization stage in the PPC Entourage that we did at the campaign level, then the keyword level, then the search term level. So yeah, it's 30% for all three of those. Good question. All right, let's keep going here. So Jacob has the enjoyable experience that we've all had. He says, Amazon, came into his listing, and they, on their own, they truncated his title and his bullet and his description. Yeah, that's happened to many of us. I find it happens when we're doing a lot of lightning deals, because I think the listing first has to go through the lightning deals review very quickly. So they'll quote unquote help us or help the consumer by making our listing more accurate or something. I remember once I had, one of our best selling products that I had signed up for a lightning deal. This is headed into Black Friday, right? Because we wanted to rank that and just really pump up the visibility just right before the holidays. And we got the dreaded, like, you guys know that image where it's like, it's the weirdest thing. It's like a guy with his hand, like holding your product, and it says like 2 inches, right? It's like the weirdest stock image ever, the most useless, vacuous image. And it like stripped out all of our other images. And I'm like, oh, great, this is great. So what we do is very simple. We let a little time pass. It sucks. We don't hit the panic button. And about 2 weeks after that, I think maybe it was a week at that time, all we did was we updated the images, we updated the title and the bullets. Then we wrote in, not under the same ticket, we wrote in to Amazon Seller Central Support, and we said, we have made an important update to enhance the customer user experience and to more accurately reflect the product that the Amazon customers are buying. So we, in other words, we reframed it from, hey, we're trying to update our listing, but the save button isn't working to actually save the changes on the website. No, don't say that, because then it'll say, I wonder why. I wonder what he did wrong. No, instead we changed the focus to, no. This is to more accurately reflect the accuracy of our product, what it looks like, and the product features for the customer. we'd like your help saving these changes. That's always worked for us. Okay. That's always worked for us. Again, you might have to wait wait a week or two and then do it that way. Yeah. Take heart, Jacob. It's happened. I mean, if you've been at this game for a while, it's happened to pretty much everybody that I know of. Okay. Brian says, what are my thoughts or plans regarding Amazon Business? What specifically, Brian? So Patty says, do you have a Facebook training other than the launch in the beginner series? Well, yeah, I covered, I think it was November, December, January, or maybe December, January, February. I covered Facebook then as well. People always think, well, no, Ben, show us what you're really doing. That is what I'm doing. I mean, yeah, I have more success with Facebook than the vast majority. I'm very open. I teach exactly what I do, but people like get too impatient. Boy, I'm using a lot of stock market metaphors, but it's like when you invest in a stock, if you're smart, you don't buy it at the 52-week high. That's dumb, right? You buy it when there's irrational, negativity about it. That's when you buy it. And it's kind of the same with Facebook. Like initially, your results are going to be atrocious. So people get irrational and they think and they overreact or they're not sure what to do. You have to test numerous audiences. You have to shine a light on those small handful of audiences where you're getting the best results. That's it in a nutshell. Nobody can get themselves to do it. Right? It's crazy. So yeah, so I teach the entire process, start to finish, when I did my Facebook series. Again, I want to say it's November, December, January, maybe December, January, February, something like that. I think I did it, and so you find it there. So I would really refer you to that. Thank you, Christine. I did not know that. All right. So Amazon Business. So yeah, I mean, we've been part of Amazon Business for a while. They must have sent out a new wave of emails because now everyone's asking, hey, we just got offered Amazon Business. Should we like pop the champagne in the streets and have a party? No, it's Amazon Business just allows you essentially to sell your product wholesale at wholesale prices to businesses that are signed up to the Amazon Business side of things. It's very low traffic. I do know people that have done it, and they'll occasionally get a sale for like 30 units, and they love it because like just be aware, whenever you do anything wholesale, there's nothing that precludes them from buying 30 units at a deeply discounted price, and immediately you're competing against you as another FBA seller on your own listing. And they're not counterfeit goods. They legitimately bought them from you. They can prove it. They have the receipt, and they just do it to undercut you. So just be aware of that. Patty says her ad is permanently stuck to my domain. So just get a new domain. Super easy. If your domain is bobspetfood.com, your account got banned, no problem. You're going to start a new domain called bobspetfoodsrule.com, and you're going to use that one instead. Ron says, how do you update your ACOS weekly through PPC Entourage? Well, you don't have to update your ACOS weekly through PPC Entourage because the PPC Entourage does it automatically for you. That's like the beauty of PPC Entourage. You know, it's like magic click button easy for guys like me that aren't good with spreadsheets and know that I'm never gonna, you know, dig through data for hours and hours and hours. Ron also wants to know, after you split test the 6 audiences on Facebook, how many do you focus on to use as your vein of gold? Well, all the ones where we've gotten a lot of action. So it'll just depend. Everyone hates it just depends, but I'm just telling you real world. I mean, there are certain things that I do teach black and white rules. This is not one of them. So you test 6 audiences, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for 2 days. Day 1, day 2, right? So at the end of day 2, you see that 2 audiences are performing best relative to the rest. You pause these suckers, and you're going to bring over those 2 winners into round 2 here, which is day 3, day 4. And you're going to go out and you're going to find 4 new audiences to test, because you know 4 of them suck, 2 are good. We're going to test those for two more days, and 48 hours. And lo and behold, these 2 are the best ones. So you're going to bring those 2, and then you're going to do 4 more, and then you find that actually these 3, after this cycle, these 3 are the 3 best audiences. Sometimes it'll be 1 audience, sometimes it'll be 2. I've had ones where there's 4. I've had other campaigns, not a lot, where all 6 over this process were good, that I could have scaled using any of them. But yeah, so that's how that works. Good question. Okay, so Jonas says he's using PPC Entourage. He loves it. I get how to remove the dog keywords along the way. It takes some time to get the campaign down to 30% when having thousands of keywords that eats your cache until you pause them. Those bad performing keywords make the whole campaign look awful, even though there are several keywords that have an cost of 10 or 15%. See what I mean? Oh, absolutely, Jonas. Absolutely. That's kind of the whole point of us using PPC Entourage. Because we go through that optimization process exactly as I've laid it out. It's going to do exactly that. In fact, it's going to do one better. You know, one of the things, like I know we covered a lot in that training, I'd really recommend you go back and rewatch that once or twice, because there's so much good tactical strategy in that I'm worried sometimes you might, you know, miss something. So 2 of the different, and they are different, 2 of the different optimization things that I highly recommend you do is, one is called Keyword Optimizer. Okay. And, well, let me just talk about this one. So there's kind of, this is like the laser approach. And I'm going to give you the exact term that I use so there's no confusion. Let me just give me 1 second here. I'll look it up on my SOP here. Not that one. Sorry, just 1 second. Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong SOP here. That's not it. Sorry, just give me 1 second. I want to give you the right terms here. Well, let me just talk about Keyword Optimizer tool, and then I'll keep looking in a second. So the Keyword Optimizer tool, okay, so if you have thousands of keywords, you don't do this for thousands of keywords, because that would not make any sense. You do this on only those keywords that are getting lots of clicks. So you can sort by clicks. And this is like the laser kind of taking a scalpel like a surgeon. And this is where you literally look for the good and the bad parts of a single keyword. Because the genius approach here with this tool is that if you eliminate those bad search terms that are bringing the ACoS down, it's like cutting the string on a helium balloon, and all of a sudden that ACoS over time all of a sudden goes from loser to winner. But you can't do that on thousands of keywords. So you only do it on those keywords that are getting lots of clicks. Okay. Okay. And the second way to optimize, and this is more of like a shotgun approach now. Okay. So this is not a scalpel. It's called search term optimization. Okay. So there's keyword optimizer. This is at the keyword level, like the individual keyword, right? And this is more of the shotgun approach. Okay. So meaning what's a more practical approach when you have a huge set of keywords that you can't justify looking at individually? This is the option that you do. Okay. And basically search term optimization is you're going to just find the unprofitable search terms. I mean, it's the same thing you're doing with the keyword optimizer. You're basically negative exacting all the unprofitable parts of that keyword, meaning the search terms. And the search term optimizer, this is doing it across all of your keywords en masse, finding the unprofitable search terms, again, adding them as negative exacts right to the campaign. But I mean, that's huge. These two steps, huge. This is newer, and this will be a huge breakthrough, because you know how you have certain like really important keywords that you've never been able to make profitable? I mean, I certainly have those. So let's say that you're selling a dog leash. You know logically dog leash as a search phrase, as a keyword is so relevant, and you want it to work. But let's say you have an ACoS of 58%. And you're like, I want that visibility, right? Now, for the first time, you can really, at a very granular level, now you're able to dissect it and say, whoops, wait a minute, it's getting lots of clicks, but the reason why we're losing is because of these three search terms that are hoarding the clicks, dragging my ACoS low. So this is the good parts we're going to keep, but I want to negative exact these. Okay. And you find over time that your ACoS improves. It's 40%. Okay. You keep your eye on it. Then you go back in. Again, you're doing this weekly now, and you're going to rerun the keyword optimizer. You're like, oh, wait a minute. There's, some more buggers there. We're going to, negative exact. And now you're making progress. You see you're 36%. And then again, over time, you're going to get rid of these search terms that are bringing the ACoS down, only keeping the good. And then ding, ding, ding. Now you're at 30%, at 30% ACoS for a high volume, high traffic, important keyword. That's why I'm really excited about the keyword optimizer tool. Hope that makes sense. All right. So Julie says, with new copy and keywords woven in, etc. I've optimized my listing as per the Epic keyword research, weaving in those keywords into her copy, and the keywords are woven in, yada, yada, yada. But Helium 10 is showing a large percentage of the keywords are not indexed. Why might this be? I have no idea. Are you sure that the changes are actually, sticking? Meaning, are you sure that when you save the changes, have you actually physically gone to your listing on Amazon and make sure that the listing is updating? That's the only case where I found that we've run into problems, because if you have an established listing that's already successful, Amazon tends to kind of lock down our catalogs of the better selling products. They think they're helping us. They also think it makes for a better user experience, because they don't want us FBA vendors constantly changing, terms and conditions and modifying attributes while large numbers of the item is being sold. So they do that to protect the consumer. And so what we've had to do is when we see that those changes aren't actually realized or updated actually on the listing itself, we just have to reach out and contact them. And just like I told the person earlier, we say, we've recently made some important updates to our listing to give a better user experience and to more accurately reflect the product, but we're having difficulty with those changes being saved. We need you to manually update the listing for us, save those changes for us. And usually within about 48 hours, they have done that, no problem. Now, if that isn't the issue, then you have to play the game of swapping around, playing with where you're putting terms. So sometimes, for inexplicable reasons in certain categories, sometimes the search term fields don't get indexed real easily. So you have to just almost not use the search term field, and you weave those into the product description instead. And then you run 5K checker again. And you're like, oh, okay, there we go. So that seemed to work. So let me move the remaining keywords out of the search fields. We'll stuff them into the product description, and boom, that solves the problem. So you just kind of do this rearranging a process. There's oftentimes no rhyme or reason, right, with the Amazon platform. They're just such a fast-growing organization. There's so many moving parts that sometimes you have to do illogical stuff to make stuff happen like this. So Patty says, what if only 3 or 4 keywords produce sales? So are you saying that you've gone through my process and you've tested like thousands of keywords and you found the search terms that are producing sales, and you moved the search terms, not the keywords, you moved the search terms into their own campaigns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? See, there's a lot more to it than just that. It's not just like, oh, is a keyword profitable or not? There's different layers of the onion. Dave says that he's found that the back-end words are not indexing. Yeah, I heard somebody else tell me that. But I've seen it. It seems to be for certain categories. I'm not seeing it across the board, but it is interesting. It's weird, right? So Patty, based on the questions you're asking me, it tells me that you've not fully watched my recent webinar. Is that the case? Because I covered extensively what Keyword Optimizer is, how it works, what it's part of, just to let me know. So, because I'm not going to waste time answering these questions if you haven't watched the recent replay, because it's all there. It's all there. If you have, then I'd go back and I've rewatched it a couple times, because there's a lot of information there, so you might have missed some of it. Yeah, Christine. Yeah, I covered this in a previous webinar. That the product description, yes, it absolutely does get indexed now. And I've been talking about that since August-ish when I've done those member makeovers. So yes, absolutely it does. In pecking order, even though Amazon claims that this isn't the case, it goes title, bullets, product description, and search field, search terms, or search field. I can't remember what they call it. Search field. You guys know what I'm talking about. The keyword fields on the back end of the listing. And Dave mentioned, and someone else mentioned that I know that that it seems like suddenly, now it's probably just a temporary glitch, that for certain product categories, the keywords on the back end of the listing, they're not being indexed. I'm assuming that'll change, but. Okay, so Julie says, if you don't get any impressions with the suggested bids, should I keep increasing my bids or just be more patient? Well, sometimes inexplicably you won't get impressions. Okay, you won't get impressions. So, so from my experience, it is more often than not that that particular keyword, well, the words that make up the keyword have not been indexed within Amazon search. If they're not indexed in Amazon search, almost always, again, there's exceptions to the rule because Amazon is weird. There's lots of different departments that don't know what the what the other departments are doing. That being said, by the way, guys, we always kind of bash on Amazon, but Amazon is the greatest single opportunity that have probably ever been presented to any of us. I mean, they're letting us, relative nobodies, sell on their platform, get instant aura of trust and authority and all this kind of stuff. So let's always remember that just when we're starting to really gripe and complain about Amazon, because it is frustrating, but oh my gosh, what's the alternative? If you think Amazon is hard to deal with, try listing your product on like Sears. I mean, forget it. Sears is a disaster. I will never sell on Sears. I've heard the stories. I've seen some of just the outrageous incompetence. Sears still allows people to sell third party, but it's just an absolute nightmare. Walmart, very challenging. Amazon's a dream compared to these others, and people make it sound like it's like the worst organization in history, but believe me, it's an incredible opportunity that they give us. It's worth the minor bumps in the roads for sure. But anyway, going back, you really just need to verify that particular search phrase or those words have actually been indexed, and from my experience, the best way to force a keyword to start getting impressions is to have a sale or 2 or 3 occur for that word. Fundamental strategies that we get asked a lot is, hey Ben, how do I rank a new product? How do I re-rank a product? And I feel like, always, beating the same dead horse, but it works. And that is, you have to have like an email list, very easy to build using my launch funnels that I refer you back to the December, webinar. It's funny how people forget about this stuff, but go rewatch in December. I've given you several of my funnels, one-click import into ClickFunnels. So you can literally be up and running, no exaggeration, within less than 30 minutes. Faster if you already have Aweber and things like that. And you're going to build, and part of that funnel is your amazing or insane, discount club or insane deals club. So after they get their first deeply discounted product, you don't do it in exchange for a review. But after you move that product for a certain, keyword, people say super URLs don't work. They're wrong. And don't write me a post going, but Ben, what about terms of service? Well, people think terms of service is like a law. Like someone's going to come pound down your door and arrest you if you use a super URL. I'm like, are you kidding me? No, it's just some mid-level manager doesn't want people like us blatantly, manipulating the Amazon search engine. Well, no, duh. And we have a different goal. We want to blatantly manipulate the search engine. Just like we used to rank hundreds of doctors' websites in Google. Well, Google doesn't want you. It's against our terms of service. Terms of service doesn't mean a law. It's not like a law passed by, President Trump. It's just a terms of service. Some mid-level, mucky muck doesn't want guys like you and me gaming the search algorithm in Google, right? And that's all a terms of service thing is. So could you theoretically be banned? Sure, you could be banned for doing nothing. You could be banned for one wrong image and one clueless employee. But I've never, ever in my life heard of anybody being banned that I know firsthand. I'm not talking crap that you read on Facebook. Well, my brother's uncle's cousin's sister's aunt under a full moon had their account banned because of super URL. And then you find out actually it was because, they had text in their images. It wasn't the super URL at all. Now, Again, your business, your choice. I always say this, right? We all have different risk tolerance. But if you're not selling anything anyway, if you're like 0.0 sales per day, those are the people always the most worried about, my gosh, I don't want to violate the terms of service. But you're not selling it, but you're not selling any product anyway. I know, but what if I violate a terms of service? But you're not selling anything anyway. What do you have to lose? No, anyway, mini tirades over. So let me just go back. We already have given you guys the funnels back in December. They work. They absolutely work. You run some Facebook traffic. That's why I also coincided that with my Facebook series. You're giving a product away at a deep discount. You're going to build a list, and you're going to say, hey, want more great products like this in the future? Join our, AMZ Insane Deals Club. Just enter your email here, right? So you kind of, are now you have two lists. You have your leads of people that got your deal, and then you have your deal club members. It works. Say what you want about it. It absolutely works. And then when you have enough email addresses from going through this process, you never have to run another Facebook ad again. You send out an email to your 1,000 people, and boom. And then, let's say, kind of going back, let's say you have that one keyword that you should be getting impressions for. If you cause 1 or 2 sales to happen for that keyword, guess what happens? All of a sudden, Sponsored Ads, A9 thinks that your product is relevant for that keyword phrase, and you start getting impressions. Okay. All right. Jeff says, and we love Jeff here. He says, I don't bash Amazon, just their idiot support reps. That's funny. Sasha says, Sears is hijacking everyone's listings and selling our products for 3 times. Yeah, it's kind of like, sort of like what people do with eBay, right? Hold on, I'm just reading through this chat question. Okay, here I'll read Mark's question. Mark wrote, "Hi Ben, thanks for everything. I'm looking to bring about 400 units on 10 different items. Nothing will be branded. All will be on a poly bag. When creating the product images, is it wise to put images on Amazon with my brand on the products or the packaging, even though the packaging is really unbranded?" Yeah, it's fine to do that. In fact, I recently did a case study. In January, we did sort of a quiet seminar for 2 back-to-back ones, and I did a hot seat. And I was showing, I think it was for, let me just see if I can find this for you here. Get rid of that. I think it was for, if I'm not mistaken, the heck are those? Guys, I'm having a brain fart. What are those? I got a stainless steel coffee mug. Okay, at the time, okay, see this listing right here? See how this looks like it has a branded label on it? I had found several that it was bogus. There actually isn't any label. This might be the one, I'm not sure. But number one, it makes the product pop, right? Because if you go back here, the topic more was like, hey, how do you make your product pop? Now, I don't think this is the keyword phrase that we're using, but like, what's the difference between this one and this one? If you kind of scroll, this kind of pops. So one way to make a lookalike product pop is to superimpose a 3D rendering only of your brand sticker. Now, I doubt this sticker is actually on the product when it's shipped, and guess what? Nobody cares, nobody remembers, no one gives a you-know-what. So again, your business, your choice, but I would be 100% comfortable as a tactical strategy, especially for unbranded units, to make them look a little bit more customized by just getting somebody from Fiverr to create kind of a faux label like that. It doesn't materially change the product in any way if it is shipped without the sticker. And if some anal retentive somehow remembers or sees that, just say, oh yeah, will you just say something like, not all units are shipped with that sticker. In fact, some find it very inconvenient to have to peel off the sticker. So you got one that has no sticker. If you're unhappy, we can refund your money if you really wanted that sticker, right? So yeah, I would have no problem. Now, the risk you're going to run, again, your business, your choice, right? The risk you're going to run is if you do some kind of packaging that would materially change the product in some way. So if you were to show this coming in a gorgeous gift box, when in fact they don't get a gorgeous gift box, that's taking us too far. But as far as just showing some little branding like this, like a sticker that they don't actually receive, I personally would feel very comfortable knowing, hold on, one caveat, knowing though that I'm assuming your goal is to just quickly test, do a mini launch on these, see which one gain traction, and then upon the reorder, you actually will put a sticker, and you will do maybe some like laser logo on there, right? All right. So Scott, what's up, Scott? Scott says, hi, Ben. I just want to mention how grateful I am for your monthly teachings. I do my best to implement at least one thing each month, and you've helped me reach 70,000 in revenue, 25,000 a month in profit in less than 1 year. Amazing. Scott, you just made my day. That is awesome, Scott. This is a bit off topic, but I followed some of the Facebook review getting tactics by Mr. X. And somehow I was flagged twice for manipulating reviews by Amazon seller performance team. We were quite careful, so I'm not quite sure how the system caught us. So you got Facebook reviews, or are you saying, well, okay, since our account is at risk for suspension, we were considering opening a different seller's account without Amazon's permission. Obviously, this is for entertainment purposes only. But do you know if it's possible to sell the same private label product under a completely different Amazon seller's account? So let me give you a better option. So here's what I'd recommend. So number one, going back to the reviews. So yeah, you really have to be careful, because as far as like trying to force a large number of reviews nowadays, what you'll find is that there is some new algorithm that, well, it's not new, it's since October, that Amazon's put in place that says, hey, based on a number of units sold, there is some, I don't know, X percentage of normal reviews that if they're legit, it would come in at, let's say, a rate, I'm just making this up, between 1% and 3%. If it breaches that band and goes anything over 3%, let's flag this as a potential for like review manipulation. And I believe that's what triggers that email. We don't know, like they don't tell you what the percentage is, because then again, you, me, and everybody else would make sure it didn't exceed that 3% or whatever. So it's probably a combination of a percentage over the mean average or whatever, or some moving average, and also if they get a flood within a short period of time versus more the reviews coming in naturally over a span of time. I don't believe it's pegged to a time frame though, because when you're doing like a lightning sale, you might move 1,000 units, and all of a sudden, if you get a flood of reviews, clearly that trigger a seller performance review. So I don't believe it's pegged to a flood coming in all at once if you can attribute that to some sales, but I do think it's pegged more to getting a higher percentage of reviews in compared to X average sales for the month or for the week, whatever hidden thing they're using. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's why one thing that I really recommend you guys all do. I know it's tempting to go out and force getting reviews, but we don't and haven't since they changed the terms of service. We don't have a review club. We don't call it that. We don't even, nothing that we do is tied to, hey, you get a discount in exchange for a review. You never want to do that. You don't need to, though. You're going to naturally, organically get reviews coming in anyway. So you just have a deep discount club or an insane deals club and nothing. And in fact, we actually put into the PS of our emails that we send out. And I mean, Jeff and others that were at that January seminar, like you guys saw we have in writing, it says, hey, leaving a review is absolutely not a condition of getting this amazing discount. I mean, we're that blatant about it where we actually put it right in there. So we have something in writing. And so we've not ever had any issues with this of getting flagged. But on the other hand, I don't really push to get a flood of reviews anymore because I know that that's on the radar. Instead, what I'm very aggressive about is moving loads and loads of products, both through Facebook ads, through our deal club, and through via the email list and stuff that we've set up, things like that. Okay. So to go back to your question, so I more covered kind of what I believe is causing some of these unusual number of reviews or quote unquote review manipulation. In most instances that I've heard of, as long as you are honest and give them a reasonable explanation and reassurance, they will not shut down your account. Okay. I personally don't know anybody whose account was shut down for that once they explained the situation. Okay. Doesn't mean that it doesn't happen out there. I'm sure it does, but I personally don't know anybody. So what I'm saying is in most cases, seller performance will be reasonable. Okay. Now to answer your second question, what should you do next? I actually would personally not open an illegal second, Seller Central account. I would not do that. I mean, let's make Amazon our friend, not our enemy. If you do that and you play those games, and you're busted, Amazon now has clear grounds to ban you. And yeah, you could just keep opening up Seller Central accounts. It's a hassle. So here's what I would personally do. You want to contact Carlos. Hold on a second. Let me give you his contact. He will help you with a strategy so you can sell FBM even, kind of against your own listing. So let me just, let me give you his contact info. I just got to bring up the membership site here, show you guys where to find this. Sorry, I'm just pausing the screen here momentarily. One second. All right, unpause the screen. I've been known to forget to unpause the screen. And under recommended resources right here, okay, so we're in the membership site dashboard under recommended resources. Right here, under warehouse, do contact Carlos. Said that you're a fast tracker, that I told you to contact him, and just say, and just explain what happened, and just say, Ben said to, explain and kind of go over how you've helped other sellers that have run into similar issues by setting up an FBM program, and he can get into that with you. Okay. I'm confident, Scott, though, that you'll be able to get through this. I don't think that they're going to shut you down. Ron says, it is, let me just go back to this. Let's fire up the handy dandy Rembrandt-like pen. All right. If my goal is to build a brand in one category rather than multiple SKUs in different categories, what is the best strategy for time between product launches and the optimal number in my total portfolio? When does Amazon allow a storefront for a brand? I already have brand gating, but no storefront. Okay. I don't know the answer about like the storefront, how that works, but okay. So what he's talking about is horizontal product line. Okay. This has always been my approach also. I found it to be very stable, less risky than what I call the hodgepodge approach. Okay, so let's just talk about this for a minute, the hodgepodge approach. This can absolutely work. Let me just say, in full disclosure, I have several people in our collective mastermind where they have like a more generic quote unquote brand. Let's just say, you know, like Rick's products, or, you know, excellent deals, or, you know, some vague, non-specific Seller Central name like that. And they just sell in all kinds of different categories, no rhyme or reason, just wherever they see sourcing opportunities, they're doing it that way. And a lot of them are doing very, very well, very, very well. Okay. And there's another camp of people more like me, where I like to build a brand, and I spend a lot of time thinking about a brand name. So let's say Rick's, I don't know, Rick's Dogs Emporium. So it's definitely niched and branded. And then I do what's called a horizontal product line underneath that. So in other words, theoretically, the same pool of buyers are gonna, after they buy the dog treats, I have a dog bowl for them. I have a poop bags, you know, dog poop bags, a dog bed, and so on and so forth. So theoretically, the same customer can keep coming back and buying and buying and buying this horizontal product line. Okay. Now, is there a right or wrong? There isn't. It just depends on what your end goal is. So my end goal is the gorgeous island of St. Bart's. Okay. So I want to build up brands. I even set up a corporate structure that will let this happen. I have a different sub S for each brand. And eventually I have an exit plan to sell. Right? And so my end goal is, you know, 5 years, 8 years, whatever. You're supposed to be palm trees, is to be swinging from a hammock. All right. That's supposed to be a hammock. That's kind of a scary looking hammock, isn't it? Almost looks like a guy, right? But so it really depends on what your end game is, right? If my end game was literally just a cash grab, I would do the hodgepodge, right? If it was just literally pure cash grab, I would do as many SKUs as possible. I would not do horizontal. I'd be going different categories, different ASINs, just going hog wild. Now, to answer the second part of your question, how many products in a product line? There is no right or wrong answer, right? I mean, you don't want to limit yourself and say, oh, I'm only going to do 10, or I'm only going to do 100. It is whatever makes sense. So there's certain like product categories where there is just so much opportunity that you can keep going horizontal and related horizontal. The same pool of buyers will keep buying, right? Okay. So now, as far as a more practical goal, I always had the goal, and I hit this, of my first year, I wanted 10 SKUs. Or sorry, like 10 products. Okay. And my goal was, I want to average 10,000 a month in gross sales. And if I could do that, I'd have 100,000 a month in gross sales. And if you're like Scott, like net after all your expenses, you can average like 25K net profit to whatever, 35K, let's say, somewhere in that range. Okay. This is assuming, you know, after sponsored ad costs, paying your VA, you know, that's a really healthy net profit, guys, you know, for physical products. right? And then year 2, I had a pretty simple goal. Add 10 more products, right? End goal there is 200K a month. Net 50 to 80K profit. And then the year after that, add more SKUs and so on and so forth. Now, can you do more than 10? Absolutely. I have a lot of clients that have more ASINs than I do, right? And I love it. I love it. They're in certain product categories where there's far less branding required, or they just don't care about the branding. And so they're doing, just more kind of more of a generic Amazon product approach. Nothing wrong with that. Again, I just have a slightly different goal. Again, my goal is to have an exit. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think I'm right that a buyer wants a very healthy, profitable, branded company as opposed to unbranded and generic, right? Now, my more branded approach also tends to have also benefits if you want to expand to other platforms, such as Walmart, your own Shopify, eBay, things like that, right? But not always, right? I got hodgepodge guys that are doing very well in Shopify, right? And eBay, more selling kind of more generic type of products. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. There are no hard and fast rules about what's the perfect number for a horizontal branded product line and yada, yada, yada. But so I just shared some of my thinking on that, for me personally, what worked pretty well for me and was kind of practical. All right, let's keep going. So Patty says, is it okay with Amazon to send products for free and have those people later submit a review? No, that's against their terms of service. Can't do that. Mark says, would I share some of the most effective product insert designs you're using? Oh, sure. So not all products can you do an insert, but most products you can. Even if you have kind of a more generic product, let's just use that coffee mug. So guys, sorry for my art skills. Let's just say this is a mug. And theoretically, you could ship this just with a UPC, or sorry, like an FN SKU sticker stuck to it. So you don't even need a poly bag, things like that. You can easily just slip this in a poly bag that would allow you to put in a package insert very inexpensively. I mean, we're talking like for a few extra pennies. Most factories in China would do that for you, So let's just talk about then, and most of our products actually come in a box because I love having boxes because they're not that much more expensive. They don't add that much more product cost, but they look great in pictures on Amazon Images, and we can hide the insert right in the box. You guys with me? So for inserts, I still use, so if you take a standard size business card and chop it in half, that's our insert. And we get these from Uprint. I can't remember if it's Uprint or uprinting.com. And they're literally like half of a size of a business card. They're that thicker card stock. And it just says, want free or deeply discounted products, go here. Boom. And we put our link to our VIP club right on there. And the other side of the insert says, see other side and an arrow. So we put all the focus on this because sometimes like those inserts, you have to pick them up. I want them to flip it over and I want all the eyes on this message. That's what we found works best. I know that there's more tricky, creative ways to urge, compel, and cajole people to get on your list, but a lot of them are frankly bull poop. And I don't think accomplish anything. I'll give you an example. Some people teach, oh, on your insert put, extend your warranty to 2 years. Go here, right? And yeah, that can work. But when you start emailing them about your next product and deep discounts, what are they thinking? They're mad because they thought it was a warranty. And frankly, I think it's more exciting to say get free or nearly free, or skip free if you don't like that. Get nearly free or deeply discounted products here, VIP Club, boom, and put your URL right there. Now they know what they're getting themselves into, right? And now they're happy. It's more kind of marketing, congruency, if you will, than going from warranty to, oh, we tricked you. We're actually, just sending you sale offers now. That's, I don't know. That just doesn't seem to make sense to me. So that's how we're doing the inserts, and it works really well. Let's keep going. No problem, Scott. Cynthia says, you say click here, but they're looking at the insert. Yeah, I can't remember the verbiage, but I mean, you know what I mean. I don't think we literally say click here. I think we say go here. All right. So Neil, I already covered, the ranking stuff. I'd refer you back to the December webinar there, because it all applies, whether you're doing a maintenance re-rank or just ranking from scratch, right? Part B to his question, Neil says, was, and Neil's from the UK, he says, at which point do you have to walk away from a product? What are the key 2 to 3 things I look at when deciding on when to dump a product? Well, if it's not selling as well as we thought, then that is my, that's the easy, very easy to measure metric, right? So if all my other product line are selling 10,000 or more, and I have another product that's just a dog, I've gone through the launch process, sponsored ads isn't working, it's just not, and we've done and exhausted what we teach here in Fast Track, making sure the keyword research is done right. We're weaving those in. We have good images, good copywriting, et cetera. You're doing all the right fundamental stuff. You're not half-assing it. And it's just not taken off. I would give it no more than 6 months. And I would say, you know what? We're going to lower the price. We're going to split test the price. Frankly, I would do exactly what I taught in the sponsored ads training as a phase 4. Let me see if I can just show you something real quick here, because this to me just makes so much sense. Hold on a second. Just need to show you a screenshot here, guys. Where are you here? The 4 situations. There we go. Boom. Hold on a second. Okay. So definitely go through this process first, but this is how you want to think about liquidating a dog, and whether you use sponsored ads or not to help you liquidate the dog. This is what you want to be thinking. Like, you're sort of like in the final stage here where nothing's worked, so you want to cut your price by 50%. I'd be very aggressive in reducing the price. And before you do that, actually, you really want to go through this process first, right? You want to lower the price and use Splitly and see if it's just something as simple as a pricing issue. Because a lot of you, I find that you're really pricing yourselves out of the market, especially for kind of a generic product that's kind of commoditized. You're trying to charge premium prices, and then you're scratching your head wondering why no one's buying it. Well, it makes sense, because why, all things being equal, why would I spend more for what is perceived as the same product? You're gonna pursue the cheaper one, right? So, but anyway, so I would first go through this process. Like before, I would just assume all is lost. So you split leak to lower to split test price, see if you can get some movement, make sure the listing's optimized. As soon as you get the data and the definitive answer on which pricing is best, then you split test the main image, right? And then you go through all that process. But if truly still nothing is moving the needle, then you have a dog on your hands, right? And then you go in, into the liquidation stage at that point, in my opinion. Now, I do see some people think that all products are dogs because they're not making some obscene amount of money on every single ASIN, and that's not true either. So if you have a product that's just sitting there, requires no time, effort, or energy on your part, and it's making you $6,000-7,000 a month, I mean, is that really a dog? Not really. I mean, it's not going to get you rich, but it's like found money. That's going to, I wouldn't consider that a complete, utter failure, loser type product. I mean, that's more of a passive income earner for you. If it's requiring very little time, effort, or attention, and it's still making you whatever, I'm just making this number up, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, that's probably worth keeping around, right? Unless something fundamental changes where it just sales just go off a cliff, and okay, fine, then the writing's on the wall. But Amazon, what's so great about Amazon, right, guys, is that they have so much traffic that if you just do some of these things that I'm teaching you, you can often turn around a dog into at least a very viable passive income earner. Maybe it'll never be a home run for whatever reason. Who knows? Sometimes you never quite know why, and you're scratching your head. But I long ago quit asking why. Why isn't this product, crushing it when it looks like even better than the other product? I don't know. I don't care. I just move on to the next ASIN, and I try to make that one the big success, right? Sometimes there's literally no rhyme or reason when you release a product to the marketplace. I don't know, maybe just the color you use just didn't jive with the market. You don't really know sometimes. And that's why I've always from day one taught you want to have a wide enough mix of products so that you have income diversity, right? So you're not panic stricken if they suppress one of your listings. It's one of 10 doing all. Just bring this back up. Go back to pen here. Let's keep going here. So Brian wants to know, Brian from the UK, what are my thoughts on the new email rules where customers can opt out of receiving emails from us? Me personally, I don't know why everyone freaked out. It's like they always had an opt-out. They always had this from day one. It's just that now Amazon for a while would send us all of a sudden they start sending us notices. Oh, that one can't be delivered because they opted out. They've always been able to opt out, always. So it doesn't change anything in my opinion. It's like, Ben, what are you going to do differently now that people can opt out of your Aweber emails? Well, like nothing, because you always could opt out of Aweber, right? So Robin says, Robin from Australia, love Robin. Robin flew out to Vegas to see me speak. What time frame do you use to analyze your ad campaigns? I noticed you said you went back as far as possible, but do you use lifetime for all analyzing? There can be very different results if you use 30 to 60 days, etc. So keen to get your thoughts. Are you talking, I'm assuming you're talking, well, I don't know. Are you talking Facebook? Or are you talking sponsored ads? So let's just assume that she's talking sponsored ads. Okay, so in my opinion, and make sure you hear me here, I'm going to draw this out here. So we are under our, okay, so time frames. A couple different ways that I would think about this. There's no black and white rule of thumb for this reason. If you're going to analyze, so let's say that you've just spent 1 hour optimizing. And then next week, you do an analysis for all time. Is that really going to reflect the optimizing that you just started last week? No, not really, right? So the answer of time frame depends on when you started doing the optimization. Otherwise, it's not going to be useful data. So like in other words, this will be more helpful if I give you this answer. So I told you guys that I'm generating over 1,000 leads a day at less than 80 cents a lead right now, right? If I was to go back since the inception of that Facebook campaign and from day one look at all the data, it wouldn't be useful because like we had changed stuff between, between week 1, then we changed up the funnel to fix some stuff, the week 2 data, and then current. So like all time doesn't make any sense. So if we say, wait a minute, the best performing audience for all time is audience 1, it's not useful data because we changed so much. We changed images, we changed several things that go outside the scope of this answer, but we're going to start the analyzing from the point upon which the most relevant changes have occurred. I don't know how else to put it this way. I feel like I'm not being clear, but like in other words, so much changed between week 1 and week 2 that this data is almost irrelevant at that point because we changed so many variables. So what I'm saying over here is it depends on when you start doing things right with the campaign optimization. That will skew the data one way or the other. So all time for me, well, first of all, you won't get all time in the PPC Entourage anyway, because it's going to start from when you joined up, right? So I didn't really answer the question, but it's like another one of those it depends kind of things, right? So like, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think the Facebook answer hopefully kind of gave you my answer. It's based on the time frame, in this case, the optimizing time frame that you're going to be looking at. Yes? Got it? I hope. All right. If not, I will maybe next month or on next Q&A, maybe I can give you like a couple different scenarios. But we're almost 2 hours in, so my coherence level goes down a bit. All right. Cool. Mark says, Mark wants to know about Carlos, by the way. He says, Carlos. Does Carlos at NetDirect do order fulfillment for Walmart? Or does he just do FBA prep? No. He does everything. He will do Walmart. He'll do fulfillment for anything that you want. He'll do. He will house your inventory. Like if you have I'm just making this up. Let's say you have 5,000 units that you don't want to ship straight into FBA warehouse because the warehouse fees are just getting higher and higher. So you store them at Carlos, and then you just then you give him the go ahead. Let's say every 2 weeks to ship in another 400 units or 500 units, whatever. So he'll do all that stuff for you. He'll do FBM fulfillment. So just, if you're interested, I'd have a conversation with Carlos. We love Carlos. And he'll tell you what the prices are. And, sometimes it pencils out, sometimes it doesn't. It just kind of depends on what you're doing, what your margins are. Like everything, he's not running a non-for-profit organization. He needs to make a profit too. So just if it makes sense for you, then I would do it. We like Carlos. I'll take a couple more questions here. So Mark says, with the keyword research strategy, how can you get all keywords indexed if there's not enough room in description, even though you put them in a back-end search terms? Well, I've never had that problem because you shouldn't have such a giant set of keywords, right? You're only talking a set of keywords of like 40 to 60, generally speaking. So at least for us, for all of our listings, and I'm in a lot of different product categories. I mean, selling a lot of different ASINs. We like almost don't need the search fields because we can weave them into the title and the bullets. We're not weaving in complete search phrases. Remember that. You don't need to. You're just weaving in the words. So you don't need to repeat dog twice, leash twice. You just need one instance of it, at least to be indexed. All right, so I'll take a couple more questions and we'll call it a day here. So if somebody is getting some bogus reviews from a competitor, and I've gotten this a lot over the years, and they say, Ben, what can we do? There's really nothing you can do. I mean, there really is nothing you can do. We choose not to play dirty ever. So even if we identified who the person was, I had an ex-business partner who we had a similar situation. He was able to identify who the person was. We had proof that they were leaving fake reviews. We contacted Amazon and they still didn't do anything about it. They just would not do anything about it. And from my experience, they won't do anything about it. And so there was nothing we could really do other than, get revenge and play dirty back. But we have always chosen not to do that. Maybe it's just a life philosophy thing. I'd rather, focusing on success and my own success and my own efforts than by trying to take somebody down. So I know it can be so frustrating. Believe me, I've been a victim of it. That's why I don't share our brands. When I have shared our brands, it's amazing. Bad stuff happens. It's just strange, right? Some people just, I don't know, just not like you, and they start posting negative stuff on your Amazon listings. It's crazy. It's insanity, but some people are like that. So unfortunately, I would just say that you just have to keep fighting a good fight. I know that's quite frustrating. It's kind of like when if you've ever been on a sports team, like in high school, and that the other team plays dirty, and you do one thing by accident and your team's getting called, and the other team who's just blatantly, playing dirty pool just seems to be, getting along with everything, cheating and just doing the wrong thing. I mean, what's your options? I mean, do you sink to their level and you play dirty too? No, you usually just play harder, you fight harder, and you just try to win that way, by focusing on the positive. It's just kind of a life philosophy thing. I know, so frustrating, Now, as far as we want to be careful and not leap to the, make the giant mental leap that they're all fake, because that's easy to do too. Because, these products are like our children. We think our children are perfect and would never do anything wrong. And we tend to be just slightly biased maybe and think that our products are perfect too. And, maybe somebody gets a faulty product. Maybe somebody doesn't like the color and they're being unreasonable. But so for a legitimate low star review, our secret weapon has always been give outstanding, amazing customer service. And again, you can only do so much. If they're not going to reply and not be reasonable, they're not going to reply and they're not going to be reasonable. So, we try to reach out and say, you know what, we are so sorry, stuff happens in the delivery process. Can we offer to send you a replacement at our cost and provide a refund on top of it? And, unfortunately, not everybody even bothers to reply, but, we have been able to take care of some people that way. Some of them instantly turn their 1-star into 5-star and say, well, I'm blown away by the service and I was just frustrated, and I'd highly recommend this vendor. But in a lot of cases, they don't even change their 1-star review. But I'd rather, again, put every odd in my favor and try to make that customer so happy that, that they never leave that transaction, dissatisfied. All right. I am about reaching that point here where I'm going to be a bit useless here mentally. We've been going 2 hours. I'm hitting it hard. Let me take a couple more questions here. So a couple more people are asking about my ACOS target of 30%. So, don't get stuck on this. I just choose 30%. 30% ACOS simply means, let me just draw it like this. 100%. This is if somebody just organically found me, they bought it, just pretend there's no FBA fees, whatever, I would get 100% of that money. 30. So if my profit margin is a 50%, and this is profit margin before sponsored ads, before overhead, but just 50% gross profit margin, then theoretically you can spend up to 50% ACOS, advertising cost of sale. You can spend up to 50% and break even. But I know in the real world I have overhead, so on and so forth. So I choose to keep my ACOS at 30%. That gives me anywhere from 20%, assuming that I'm at a 50% profit margin. I'm not always at a 50%. I range anywhere from 42% up to 55%. But roughly, that gives me 20%. That is part of gross profit. Now, that then will be used to pay VAs and so on and so forth. But 30% is my max, right? Over time, because of the PPC entourage tactics, the majority of my campaigns, you're going to think I'm making are anywhere from 2% to I think like 28% max, but most of them are under 20% ACOS. I mean, isn't that wild? But they are. Like the vast majority are 20% ACOS or better. So that means we are making profit just from our sponsored ads campaign. Okay. Now, again, I'm at a different stage, right? I'm trying to increase the sales of existing products. And one of my mantras in business is I got to make a profit. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in business. Now, if I was solely in launch stage, different set of goals. I'm willing to take a loss. So my ACOS is going to be higher for the short term. Ben, how much? Maybe 60, maybe even 70% ACOS. Why? So I can get traction, right? I can get ranking high. I can get those reviews coming in organically, right? I can buy data. But as soon as we exit phase one, that launch mode, I'm in phase two. I want to make a profit. Launch, this quote unquote loss is just marketing costs. This is like marketing and advertising, isn't it? All right. All right, guys. So I just want to say that if you've not really taken the time to actually implement the sponsored ads game plan that I taught you guys, oh my gosh, that is such a game changer for you guys. I mean, like right away. In fact, let me just pause the screen and see if I can find it here. Like right away, we got, I'm talking like right after I concluded the sponsored ads training, Eddie Treisman wrote, Emily, please pass to Ben these words. I'm sure you're super proud of him. Ben, you proved once again that when you say you deliver an epic training, you truly mean best of class, big idea to detailed tactics training, period. He was pumped. Thank you so much for awesome value that you deliver. So yeah, if you haven't watched the sponsored ads, tactical game plan replay, it was posted. We sent the email, I think Friday. Oh my gosh, watch that. But like I said on the webinar, that until you actually do this, it's not really going to stick. Like you'll get the concepts, but until you actually get under the hood and start using my SOPs and the process, it's like the light bulb will go off. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I get this now. I mean, you can like legitimately earn a full-time living just by understanding that sponsored ads game plan. I'm not saying you should do that at all, because you want to, there's gold coins, silver coins, and bronze coins all around you. You guys just don't have enough time to pick them all up. There's so much opportunity out there. So, but this is definitely a gold coin that you all should be picking up without a doubt. The sponsored ads fix a lot of other stuff too. They get you the reviews over time. They get you the organic ranking over time, and they get you profit over time, which of course is the name of the game. Guys, I want you to have a fantastic day. I'll be releasing a Fast Track podcast probably tomorrow. Make sure you take a listen to that. Make sure you're listening to those, because those act as kind of the in-between. And I share new insights and sometimes answer questions on that training. We tie a lot of the pieces together. So make sure that you're listening to those, while you're driving or working out. And also make sure that you are attending the Facebook Lives that I'm doing. Those are fun. Feel free to post questions there. I can't always answer specific tactical stuff that we teach in Fast Track, because, we want to teach that content just in Fast Track, but, just kind of e-commerce and a generic or more general kind of Amazon questions, sure, no problem, I can talk about, and I will talk about. So make sure that you're participating in those. And guys, until next time, keep fighting a good fight, kick butt. Just remember, there truly is no bigger opportunity in our lifetime than what we have in front of us with Amazon. And Amazon has not matured. Amazon keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. And the only question I have is, are you? So on behalf of myself and the whole team here in Fast Track, keep kicking butt, and I'll be talking to you guys again real soon. See ya.